Thank you for joining us for another episode of NCBA's Coffee Break Series. I'm Nathan Willner, NCBA's Government Affairs Officer, and I'd like to welcome my guest, KnovaOne CEO Neeraj Mendiratta, back for another cup of coffee. I hope your doctor doesn't mind that you're drinking so much coffee with me, but our first coffee break, we only touched the surface. For those who couldn't join us, Neeraj is an industry veteran with over 20 years experience. He started as Aqua's default manager and rose to run NCO's attorney network, and has been KnovaOne CEO since 2012. So Neeraj, welcome back for your second cup of coffee. Before we get into specifics, just briefly, because people know you so well already in the industry, but maybe share with our listeners, what does KnovaOne do and how does it help our industry?
Sure. So I've been in collection industry for 20 years, in legal collections for 15 years. I've been attending NCBA, then called NARCA, since 2006. So it's been almost 16 years in a running, except for a few misses here and there. So I've come to NARCAs or NCBAs as a client side, as a vendor side, and I'm glad to be part of NCBA and glad to be a sponsor for your activities and conferences. So legal collections actually has been my longest running career ever in anything else I've done. So it sort of feels like a home.
Yeah, no, I mean, first of all, NCBA is so appreciative of your support and the industry in general. I don't think there's an industry conference where you're not there. So you're definitely part of what makes this industry tick. Picking up where we left off on our last coffee break, we covered networks and physical space security, but we didn't really talk about how KnovaOne incorporates processes into the security profile. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So the part of the processes is, that we need to make sure that everything we do is documented. We have a lot of focus on documenting the things we do internally, things we do for our clients, and not just the things we do, like tasks we do, but the services we provide, right? So and along that line, we have an SOP team. We document everything. We make sure that the things we're doing internally are approved through proper channels internally, and things we do for our clients that they have approved their SOPs. So that ensures that we are staying within the guidelines of the work we're supposed to do. Training. We do regular trainings, whether it is around compliance, whether what is collections or foreclosure, or even just the client-specific trainings. So we make sure that we have a training calendar for our staff. Quality control. When I started my career in collection world, the QC was my number one pet peeve, and I have always focused on quality control. It's not that we have not screwed up. We have screwed up in the past, but what makes us different is how we have bounced back from that, how we have corrected those to make sure they don't happen, make sure we have made our clients whole, we have informed them, and kind of fixed the issues that have created the quality control issues on our side, right? We have gotten the insurances, appropriate insurances to protect our clients' needs and their indemnification. But the critical part of this process side is the certifications. There are two certifications that we work on. One of them is SOC 2 Type 1 audit that we get it from a third party, right? Along with that, we get our annual penetration testing done, we get our monthly vulnerability scans done. But the one that's very critical to this industry is the NCBS subcontractor certification process. We did it pre-COVID, during COVID, because we were not sure how that we would get it accomplished. But now we are actually going through it right now. As of now, I think we have provided all the responses except maybe one, and we are about to finish it. Hopefully by end of August, we would have completed and closed the audit and wait for the results from the auditing company. So the idea of those certifications is not to just pile on things in our certificates and hang them on the wall, but it's for the third party, somebody from outside looking into us and saying, hey, how are you guys doing these things? Are you guys making sure that you're plugging all the holes, the security holes. We talked about the servers and the network in the previous one, and we talked about the physical security. It's good that we can do it and we know what we're doing, but it's better to have a third set of eyes and outside eyes coming and telling us, hey, yes, you are doing this correctly, or no, you need to fix these things. So having those certifications helps us more buttoned up to prevent the destruction or the theft of the client's data. And a lot of people have asked me about, this NCBS certification we do. Oh my God, I thought initially it would be a joy walk, and because I've done audits on behalf of clients, and I've been audited multiple times. I can tell you, it's not a walk through the park. It's the kind of questions we get asked, and we reply, and then we get a counter reply like, "Oh, why didn't we think of that?" So it is very intense on our side to keep ourselves audited, right? So that's the process side.
So it's great to hear the work that you do, but I'm also, after so many years in the industry, it's also great to hear that you're always looking for new ways to make the job easier on your clients, like the NCBA certification, figuring out different ways to take some of the burden off of small businesses that you help in that general sense. And, that's fantastic. It sounds like you really are your clients' partners more than just a vendor.
Exactly. And one of the advantage of that is that a lot of their clients require the law firms to audit us, right? It's not easy for them to do even the remote audit. Two reasons. One, they don't have the bandwidth. They themselves are busy responding to their audit, so they don't have the bandwidth. And on top of that, even if they have bandwidth, they don't have the right questions to ask. So normally what they would do is they would just give us the same questionnaire that another client gave it to them. And I'm like, do you really know what the answer should be? Because I can kind of give you any answer and you would not know. So that's where NCBS subcontractor certification is very, very handy, because it asks the right question that are very specific to the industry, and they know what to check for. So it kind of helps out both the sides.
No, that's great. It streamlines the process. I don't want to run out of time before covering all the different security stuff that you guys do. I don't even know how you have time to do any work. There's so much security that you have to cover. But finally, finding qualified employees is not easy, especially post-pandemic. I hear people having a really hard time. People show up for interviews, then don't show up for work, all kinds of problems. So how do you screen your employees? How do you find good people? Because without good people, none of these things work, right?
Yep. And articles have been written about the mass resignation, the quiet quitting, and all this thing that the pandemic has brought. But for us, the part of data security is also the key is people. I can have all the hard network and all the solid processes and locked up physical spaces. If people are not right, it can all crack, it can all break down. So when we do the interviews, we are looking for people who are college graduates, have some basic knowledge of English and working knowledge of math, but we go through 3 rounds of interview, right? And the idea is not to judge their skill at that point, but idea to judge their willingness and motivation to work, right? If we can identify that, we know that we can teach them skills, we can give them the training, but if the person is willing to work and want to grow in an atmosphere, that's a right candidate. But as soon as we hire them, we just don't trust their word at the same time. It sounds bad, but we have to run their background checks, both internal and third party. We do a few tests, like OFAC test is one of them, but we do SAM and HUD tests on them. Not good thing is most of the Indians are not involved in the US government businesses, so we don't find them. We do on demand drug testing, a 9-panel drug testing, which is we don't even wait for them to go to some place. We actually have the drug lab come to our office and test them in our office to make sure that it's authentic test result. So we make sure that their backgrounds are completely buttoned up in terms of their education, previous employment, criminal record. And coming back to the previous, one of the things I was mentioning, process is training. We provide them so much compliance training. We kind of enforce, and we always reiterate the compliance, the adherence, and we have both the carrots and the sticks. There's a strong disciplinary policy we have that defines the repercussions of having some kind of data breach or policy violation, because at the end, it does not just simply hurt me or my client, it hurts an industry in general. If there are rogue elements, it hurts the whole NovaOne, every employee and every client that has worked with NovaOne. So for us, that is the most important part, where we try to tell our people why is it important to kind of stick with these guidelines.
No, that's, I mean, it's so much to think about, but the part that really jumped out at me is that you're not just thinking about your own business. You're not just thinking about, not even about your own clients, but you are thinking about it. How does what you do affect the entire industry? Because without, a positive reputation and with the, people working together, the industry can't function, and people, no matter where you are within the industry, suffer. So it's fantastic to hear how your approach.
Exactly. And in our industry, it takes only one bad apple to put us on the top of the, all the major media outlets. So.
Yeah. And, they always say, report the story, don't be the story. Right. So with that, Neeraj, thanks again so much for taking time and sharing a cup of coffee with me and to talk to our members. You're doing great work. We appreciate your support, and please come back for another cup of coffee when you have time.
Sure, I will. Thank you, Nathan. It's good to be part of NCBA. Looking forward to the fall meeting in Tampa.
Yeah, we're looking forward to our conference. It's the showplace of the industry. So thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thanks.